Hello, dear restaurant owners. Your restaurant is a business, and the main purpose of running business is to make money. So, to make money in any business, you need to have some financial focus. And by focus, I mean to be focused on different indicators or metrics that tells you are you doing well or not. So, in this video, I'm sharing with you ideas what should be your main focus in your restaurant business and how that focus will help you to increase your current financial situation and to create a basement for growth of your business. I'm Maxim Despark, the founder of the Deglaze Profit program, and this video is a small part of our program that I've decided to share with you. If you want to know more about the program and how we can help to improve your business, your restaurant business, please go to the description under this video, click on the first link. In this description, you will get all information there. Now, I'm glad to share with you all the information. Hello, everyone. Maxim Despark is with you. So, please, don't skip this lesson. Even if you know what cash flow means, I believe there are some ideas that might shift your angle of view on cash flow itself. So this lesson is about one of top indicators, which you can use on daily basis to understand how good or bad your finances are. Now, this module is not about abstract theory. I will show you like some numbers that you will feel. This lesson is not bombarding you with dozens of different metrics. We will narrow metrics down to those which you really need to understand and use. And this is not about taxes or state law. This knowledge is generic and applicable at the same time. So, the goals of this module. First of all, it's a practical look at financial metrics of your business and how they work together. How those metrics help to increase profit. So, you want to increase profit, and how metrics help you do that. Define your focus for the whole course, because we want to increase profit margin. And this single thing, cash flow, we will use from time to time in our course. And walk you from simple to complex. So, in simple words, in simple terms, I will explain you finances. So, this is the very beginning of this explanation. There are different purposes of finance analysis. So you've definitely faced some of analysis in your real life, in movies, etc. But any analysis has some aim or is prepared for a specific purpose. And those are typical purposes: to report and pay taxes, or analysis for tax office to calculate if you paid enough or not. Then there are reports to satisfy investor partners, to let them be confident that the things you do are good for the business, not for the business, but for their investments. This is important thing. Then to convince a bank, give you a loan, etc. So basically, those types of analysis or reports are not for your personal needs. Those are for needs of others, which somehow influence your business and your life by making some decisions, right? But none of those analyses are for your personal needs or to achieve your personal goals. And this whole course, the course that you are in right now, is to help you to achieve your personal goals. Is about your personal need, making your restaurant successful. Not about taking loan, not about make your investors happy, or so on. This is about making your restaurant successful. And it's about operational finances. So how you operate on daily basis, how you should track that, not to generate an annual report for someone. How annual report helps you to run your business. It doesn't. Of course, if you want to make some shift by taking new loan, it's a different story. But it doesn't help you on daily basis. I mean, those types of reports. And your goal is to have something that helps you to run your business daily. You have a vision. Money is the enabler of this vision. So you have some vision. How do you want to see your restaurant in the future? What success means for your restaurant and for yourself? But only having money, only generating money within your business, within your restaurant, helps you to implement that vision. And this course is your vehicle for that, to achieve that vision. Once you jump in this vehicle and start doing things that I'm recommending you doing. So let's start. Profit, of course, generic word. Do you know how effective your business is? What criteria do you use to analyze how effective your business is? Is it how many customers visited your restaurant today? Or how much money you have in your bank account? Because it's important statement. Business is about making money in the first place. Regardless what vision do you have for your restaurant, if you treat your restaurant as a business and want to make some money, business is about making money in the first place. The idea is with the restaurant is simple. Is with any with restaurant is simple, um, similar to other businesses. So you buy something, you use it and add extra value and sell it, right? With restaurants, it's the same. You buy ingredients, you cook them, and sell with some margin. You get pure profit. So, of course, after paying taxes and other things, but doesn't matter. This is don't go into details. The generic approach is this: profit equals sales minus expenses. So, if you sold 10 dishes during the day and you bought for that this amount of food for that amount of money, the difference is the profit. Of course, from that profit you need to pay other things, but in general, this is how profit is calculated. The more profit, the better your business is. Very simple. But reality is more complex. When you look at your daily finances, what you would see, this is day by day. First day of the month, second day, and so on. Red are expenses, blue sales. So you have some sales on the first day of the month, and you have some expenses. Doesn't matter if you pay for deliveries or like for um, salary for your employees. Doesn't matter. So you have some sales, or some revenue, and you have expenses, revenue expenses, and we see that some days expenses much bigger than revenue, right? And then at some point during the month, you have almost no expenses, but revenue still like coming into your business. And that depends from day to day. Sometimes you have big amount of expenses, sometimes you have like bigger sales, doesn't matter. This chart is pretty realistic. But the thing is, why I'm showing you all that, because it becomes a bit harder to track profit having that. Because this day doesn't mean you don't have any profit but only expenses. This day you have more revenue than expenses, and that means that you have big profit. So what's your profit? In general, we need to look at the whole month, take all the expenses, and compare to all the sales. And this is more or less we would have the understanding what is our profit. But it's complicated. Why I'm showing you all that? To explain a simple thing that we have how we can make money. Like three major approaches, let's say so, or options. First one is to increase sales revenue, make those blue bars bigger. Second is to reduce expenses, right? Those red bars. And third one is both at the same time, increase sales and reduce expenses. This is what you can do to have a bigger profit. At the end of the month, it will pay off, right? And increasing sales looks like an obvious choice. Why? Like, of course, we need to increase sales. Why? Because expenses are defined by the market. Like, prices for food are defined by the market. Um, Hourly rate of your employees is defined by the market, and so on. So we should just accept them, right? It seems obvious. Bigger sales will cover all necessary expenses. Like more sales will cover those expenses. The more money is the better, right? And you are already trying to increase sales all the time, don't you? You try to sell more. You try to invite more customers to your restaurant to have more sales. You spent efforts there. Does it help you? Why doesn't it? Why doesn't helps increasing sales to have bigger, more money at the end that you can use for your own needs? And the answer is efficiency. Increasing sales while ignoring expenses is not effective. What do you mean by that? So when you focus on sales, but don't pay too much attention to expenses, it doesn't help you a lot to increase your profit. So, metaphors: riding a very old, moderate car, pressing the gas pedal to the floor. So, imagine you have like car from 60s and you try to drive as fast as you can. You press gas pedal to the floor. You have a lot of smoke behind you. You have a lot of noise from the engine. But does it go? But it does. Sorry, but does it goes much faster? No, it doesn't, because it's inefficient. Even with firing a lot of gas, it still doesn't go too well. Doesn't go too fast because it's inefficient. Or eating creamy mashed potato with a toothpick. You have a plate of mashed potato in front of you, and you take toothpick and you try to eat it, that potato with toothpick. You can move too fast, but result would still be the same, not the good result. And it's because of efficiency. That's why, even if you increase sales without reducing expenses, without paying attention to expenses, it's inefficient. Again, imagine that car, a lot of smoke behind you, a lot of noise, but not too much results. And that noise, smoke, this is all your energy that goes to increase sales. You try too hard, but you don't get expected results because your end result is to have more profit, right? But it's not efficient. That's why we will look at the profit margin. Because more sales, good, fewer expenses, even better. So you can measure both sales and expenses at once with a single formula, with the profit margin. So profit margin equals total sales minus total expenses divided by total sales. What does it mean? The bigger expenses are, the smaller that value would be. And the bigger sales are, the bigger value would be. So this single formula contains together sales and expenses, where sales, bigger sales increase profit margin, bigger expenses decrease it. And that's why this um, indicator is so good to measure how efficient is your business. For example, let's imagine that your total sales is $40,000 and your total expenses are 38,800. So divided by that subtraction, dividing by 40,000 and multiplying by 100%, you have 3% of profit margin. So the idea is, the bigger this value is, the more efficient your restaurant is. Profit margin is a relative indicator that works the same regardless of a sales volume. So it doesn't matter if you have 40K a month sales or 400K of sales per month. That profit margin indicator will stay in the similar range, not like 300%, but it will still stay 4, 5, 6, 10%. That's why it's such a good indicator. Doesn't matter what is your size of your restaurant, you will always have relative value, which can tell you how good or bad or how efficient your restaurant is. So let's consider different scenarios. Imagine you are right now in scenario one and you want to improve your financial state of your restaurant. Scenario one, you have sales 40K, you have expenses 38K 800, and your profit is 1200, right? Or 3% margin, profit margin. Profit is absolute number, profit margin is relative. So your absolute profit, which you could possibly take out of the business for your personal needs, is $1,200 or 3% of sales. This is what you can take home. And you want to increase profit margin. Sorry, not to increase profit margin. You want to increase profit. You want to make more money for yourself. So, as we discussed before, the obvious option is to increase sales. Let's increase sales. And you spend a lot of efforts. You run special promo. You promoted combo and other things to increase sales. And you increased sales plus 10K per month. But to run that promo and to support those operations, your expenses also raised to 48K $650. And that means subtracting this amount from this amount, you get profit $1,350. So your profit from the previous one increased plus 150. Is it good? Yes, it's good, I think. But if you look at the relative value, profit margin, you will see that profit margin dropped to 2.7. Of course, I made up this example, but it's realistic one. So you spend a lot of efforts, you have more sales, you reduced margin to sell your food, and that's why your profit margin decreased, because you reduced margin on some of your dishes. And profit, absolute number, you increased for 150, but profit margin you reduced. So your performance of your restaurant dropped down. why it's important to show you that example. Because you spent huge amount of effort to increase your sales to make more money, right? And you increased your sales by 10K dollars, and you spent all those efforts to increase profit for only $150 per month. You spent so much effort for 150 extra. But there is an alternative option. Imagine that you increased sales somehow, but at the same time, you paid much more attention to expenses. You managed to reduce expenses. Oops, sorry, I made a mistake here. 46. Yeah, this one. You implemented some approach to reduce expenses a bit. And at the end of the month, you have overall expenses $46,000. So your profit would be, your absolute profit would be $4,000 or plus 2,800 at the end of the month. Or relative value would be 8% of profit margin. Do you feel the difference? Of course, again, those examples are made up by myself, but those are realistic. And the question is what you should focus more at the beginning, on sales or on expenses. So this is the main question here, and this is what I'm moving towards with this lesson. Scenario 3 become possible after we reduced expenses. Every single percent of the profit margin matters. So in the first scenario, future A, we reduced profit margin or reduced performance of your restaurant. In second scenario or future B, we increased profit margin by reducing expenses. And every single percent of the profit margin matters a lot. And the thing is that the same 1% of profit margin will be applied to different sales amount. So 1% equals $400 when sales are 40K. But if you increase sales in the future to 100K, the same 1% of profit margin is equal to $1,000. The same 1%. And this is profit margin. Each percent of profit margin matters. And this is what your main focus should be at the beginning when you want to make more money with your restaurant, to increase profit margin by several percents. This is where your first focus should be. Imagine what if you increase the profit margin by 5% in a month, in a year. Imagine what amount of money that would be for you, even without increasing sales. So in this situation with 40K dollars of sales, you can spend no effort on sales to increase sales, but you can spend effort to reduce expenses and will have much bigger profit at the end. Now, imagine current sales is 50K. Profit is $1 or $1,500. Profit margin is 3%. So dividing 1,500 by 50K would be 3%. Imagine that situation. You want to make $3,000 a month. So it would be your next goal, like to double your profit with this, like doubling your profit. You want to make $3,000 a month. What's more beneficial for you? and we will compare two alternatives. Raise sales at 1.2 x 1.2 to 60K, sell extra 10K worth of meals, but increase more money in inventory to sell more. In most cases, you need to put more money in inventory, right? Especially if your inventory, if your ordering approach and so on are not optimized. You need to increase stress in peak hours. You will have more peak hours, right? You will have your stress and your employees. You will have more issues with your equipment and so on. Increase workload or even hire new employees to support that, to maintain that, and increase marketing efforts. So all those things are to maintain that bigger sales amount. Or you have an alternative options. Like this one was to increase to sell for extra 10K. And second one is to cut expenses by $1,500 and reach 6% instead of 3% of profit margin. So basically, second option is to cut expenses and by that increase profit margin. And you will reduce expenses from 48.50 to 47K. And to do that, you need to, first of all, optimize processes. Don't you like the idea to have processes optimized? Stabilize standards, because without stable standards, it's hard to reduce and maintain low expenses. And balance payroll. And you often would need to do more other things, which makes your restaurant more healthy. You will see many opportunities to cut expenses along this course. So I believe that if your profit margin is an average according to the market, it's much more beneficial for you to cut expenses first and then raise sales. You will see many opportunities to cut expenses along this course. I will show you many places where you can do that. The profit margin is a sales multiplier. So, doesn't matter how big sales are, profit margin is the multiplier. The bigger multiplier is, the bigger profit you have, right? Reduce expenses first, lift up business efficiency, and then spend efforts to increase sales. This is what is our main goal, your main goal along this course. Efficiency. How an invested work hour and a dollar are converted to profit. To increase sales, to reduce expenses, to do other things, you are spending your efforts. And efficiency is about how your energy that you spend, your focus, how it returns back to you. So profit equals sales multiplied by profit margin. Example. If your profit margin is 5% and your sales is 50K, your profit margin, your profit, your absolute number of money that you can bring home is 2,500 because you have 5 as a multiplier, 5% as a multiplier for those 50K. But if your profit margin is 8%, multiplier 8% for the same amount of money, you bring home 4K a month. That's why I'm saying that profit margin is sales multiplier. So if your current profit margin is 5% or less and no effective financial control, you have no effective financial control yet, you have a huge potential to grow it to then 10% or even more. To increase efficiency, you need systems, a set of principles and procedures to run your operations. So this is what I'm giving you with this course, and this is how you increase efficiency. But after you increased that efficiency, after you establish those systems, principles of procedures, what you would have, you would see and feel an overall state of the business and quickly notify problems because you established processes to notify problems. You can increase sales with time 2-3 times more. You could have 2-3 times more sales and still manage well all that volume because you already established processes. Without processes, but without system, it's hard to increase sales and maintain quality and speed. But if you have systems which you will achieve while increasing efficiency or reducing expenses with by establishing systems, you would have systems, you would have processes which would allow you to maintain bigger volume that you sell during the month. You can onboard new team members much easier because you already have standards and you already have control in place and you have a fertile soil to make better service, food quality, and happier customers. That's why I believe that reducing expenses and increasing profit margin, it's much more important at the beginning when increasing sales. If you have like some decent amount of sales, I'm not saying if you have only one client a day, you should ignore that and reduce expenses. No, this is not what I'm saying about. But if you have some decent sales, but not too much money left at the end of the month, you should start from reducing expenses. The challenge of tracking profit margin. So right now we've covered the idea of profit margin. You understand that it's better to increase profit margin by reducing expenses. The thing is, you can't improve what you don't measure. So our goal is to improve profit margin, right? To increase profit margin. To improve something, we must, first of all, to make a plan. Do planned actions to achieve that result, to track progress and alter actions if needed along the way while tracking progress. So we have an issue with profit margin, to track profit margin. Why? This is what we have to track profit margin while reducing expenses and raising sales. So we have, imagine this is at the end of the month, we have that picture where we have sales, this bar, and expenses, this bar. And profit would be difference between sales and expenses. What is sales? How much food we sold, how much liquor, beer, and wine we sold. And this is all stacked up to the total amount. And this is the amount of different expenses for food, cost of goods sold, for labor, for occupancy cost, utilities, repair, and so on, and marketing and administrative. So we have sales and we have expenses. This is not real-time data. So our goal is to control your finances on daily basis. But this is not real-time data. You can't track and alter actions based on this data. So even if your goal is profit margin, this is the only way to calculate actual profit margin at the end of the month or at the end of the year. To get all sales, reduced it by all expenses, and basically using that formula, this one formula, total sales minus total expenses divided by total sales, you would have that profit margin, right? But you can do it only at the end of that some period, not at the end of the day. Profit margin is a long-term strategic indicator. It's important. We are aimed to increase that. We will calculate that, but it's a long-term strategic indicator. It's useless for day-to-day operations. And this is when or where cash flow comes to play. What can you track daily to make sure you increase a profit margin? Track money accumulation. What do you mean by that? So, this is the same picture as we had before. We have sales, blue ones, we have expenses, red ones, and then we have money accumulation at the end of the day, each day. So, what those bars mean that at the end of this day, we have um, plus something, 1,000 and something at the end of the day, dollars in total in all your accounts, in bank account, in your cash register, and maybe other places where you keep money, restaurant money. Next day, you have below zero, below zero, below zero, and so on. So why at the end of the day we still have green one? Because from previous month we already accumulated some amount of money because we knew that we need to pay some expenses on the first of the month, right? That's why we had some money accumulated, and for the first day it was good, but on the second day when we had more expenses, we crossed that zero level and ran below that. This is the time when we need to borrow money from our friends or from bank, doesn't matter. So, but it doesn't matter what's going on here. The thing is that this is cash flow indicator, where cash inflow, where this thing is cash flow, like cash inflow minus cash outflow at the end of the day, added to previous, like the money which left from previous period. And this is the accumulative amount of money. Like we have some expenses here, but it's still above zero. Then we have more expenses and some sales. We dropped below zero. We have almost equal sales and expenses, the same level as day before. Then we again had more expenses. This day, 4th of month and 5th of month, and we became much more below zero. And at some point, we started making or having more sales than expenses. So that negative value reduced. Then again, more expenses till the moment when we had almost no expenses, but a lot of sales. This is where we went to the green. Then again, some huge expense. Doesn't matter what it was. Several expenses, I believe, like occupancy cost plus salary payout. And again, red one, green one, red one, green one. And this cash flow indicator shows us how good or bad we are right now. Cash flow is a precise metric to maintain your business health daily. It shows you information daily. Increase cash flow, get bigger profit and profit margin. So if your daily goal is to increase cash flow, it ends up in a bigger profit margin. Signs you have bad cash flow. First of all, unexpected expenses. If you have unexpected expenses, you have a bad cash flow. You get cash later when you need to pay bills. Again, the sign of bad cash flow. You delay with payroll. Yet another red flag. Outstanding invoices are accumulating and waiting till you pay them. You can save money for restaurant growth or yourself. So this all about cash flow in first place and profit margin as a result. Do you find yourself in that? Like, do you see some issues in your restaurant? regardless if you have bigger sales or bigger profit margin. It can't save you from those issues. Do you hear it? Even if you have bigger profit margin, like 5%, 8%, or 10%, it will not save you from those negative values or from those issues like you delay with payroll and so on. Because you need to focus, first of all, on cash flow, which brings you to bigger profit margin at the end of the month, at the end of the year. Again, profit margin, challenge of tracking profit margin. Profit margin, there is no real time data to track profit margin. It is a long-term strategic indicator, and it's useless for day-to-day operations. That's why we use cash flow for day-to-day operations, which contributes to profit margin at the end of the period. Now, cash flow management is the process of planning, like how do we deal with those type of issues, right? We use cash flow management. It's the process of planning, tracker, and adjusting the movement of cash in and out of the business. How does cash flow with proper management look like in your restaurant? Even if you have sometimes bigger expenses than sales, sometimes, but sometimes you have bigger sales and expenses and so on, when properly managing, you have like this. You don't have red bars where you need to borrow money. So this is how properly management cash flow look like. And if you are all the time in the green, you would definitely have some profit margin at the end, right? Goals of managing a cash flow. First of all, shave off expenses. This on the first place. Second, nurture sales. It will also cash flow, like managing cash flow helps to nurture sales as well. Because if some days you have low sales level and cash flow prediction or cash flow forecast allows you to see that, and you might force sales for those days. Then rearrange care, but it's not the main goal of this course. I mean, just list of different things that cash flow management aims. Rearrange cash inflow and cash outflow. Like you can replace days or reschedule days when you have those expenses and have money for all upcoming payments. This is what the cash flow management is about. And don't worry, you will have, I will provide you proper and effective solutions how to deal with cash flow, how to manage cash flow. Having that, having those things, you could finally start feeling that your stress, finances related, is lowered. I believe that you have stress. This is why you bought this course, right? And your stress, of course, because of business in general, but one of points is because you have some issues with finances. Having cash flow management in place, you could finally start feeling that your stress finances related is lower. One more thing, interesting thing. Bad cash flow harms your credit rating. That means that it's hard for you to take a loan from bank when you have bad cash flow because every bank will tell you, okay, do you need a loan? Yes. For your business? Yes. Could you please show your financial statement? And you are showing that you have bad cash flow. Oh, no, 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 no. We don't trust you. You can't run your business effectively. Like of course, I simplify things. You need to show a lot of different things. You have different conversations with your banks and depending on bank. But this is a general approach. If one of your critique indicators this bad, like bad cash flow with negative cash flow in some days, it's a bad sign for the institution that is thinking about giving you money. And good cash flow, and opposite, helps you avoid taking out a loan or credit. So if you have a good cash flow, why do you need to take more money? You generate money. Summary: your long-term financial plan. Revenue is vanity, even if you aimed for that before. Profit is sanity, but cash is king, or cash flow is king. You need to focus on cash flow first. That's why this is your financial plan. First of all, establish cash flow management. While doing that, you will see what's going on with your money. You would feel it. You have cash inflow and cash outflow synchronized after you establish cash flow management. You have less stress because of unpaid bills, pain reduced. You see new spots of financial inefficiency, and you can cure them as well. You can now track how your changes affect your profit. Once you established cash flow management and other things, you can track how your changes, how your improvements to your restaurant affect your profit. Second stage would be raise profit margin by cutting expenses. So, when you establish cash flow management, you are now able to controllably raise profit margin by cutting expenses. So, you cut some of your expenses, you have unified processes and effective control over them. So, you can monitor what's going on with your finances, you can see results, financial results after establishing cash flow management. And every 1K of extra sales bring you more profit when you raise profit margin, when you increase efficiency of your business. Every 1K of extra sales brings you more profit. And then you raise sales. So this is your long-term financial plan. And this course helps you do that. Okay, finish the module task, please. It makes the course more productive for you. Just a reminder, please don't skip those tasks. Thank you for listening. I hope you follow all the things that I'm sharing with you. I try to do that is as much as as simple form as possible, and I hope you got some useful information in this lesson. Have a nice day.